Okay, folks, Andrew Polpros here. Well, I want to do a quick video on some transactions, guys. We're not done yet, right? I mean, the Chargers are still making moves, kind of exciting. And this man right here is out of his boots. He's throwing some passes now at camp, so he will definitely be ready week one. Do not expect him to play at all during the preseason in any way, shape, or form, right? So he'll be ready week one versus the Raiders. But there's a lot to talk about, guys. And it's going to be a pretty interesting week. And I do expect that we're going to have some more interesting transactions this week. So, guys, let's get into it. Bull Bros! Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bolpro as well. Yeah, so again, Justin Herbert's out of the boots and ready to start throwing piss missiles again, guys. Very exciting. Very exciting. But again, we all know that we're going to take him, bring him back slowly. We're not going to do anything super crazy with him. We want to make sure he's going to be ready to go week one versus the Raiders, because that's what really matters at this point. But I want to talk about some of the other transactions that's happened and kind of go into what transpired versus the Rams and where this team sits now. And I'm going to make a couple predictions at the end here about what I think is going to happen this week, because I think you're going to see a lot of transactions moving forward. Clearly, Joe Ortiz is not done. He's still going to be trying to bring people in. Well, let's talk about Easton Stick. Easton Stick, again, did not look great. He looked better, did not look great. I thought he looked okay. His footwork is very poor. It was just really interesting seeing how he just was not accurate. He wasn't planting his foot properly. He wasn't, using his hips. He wasn't getting into the throw. He was playing timid, and again, you can make the argument, well, there weren't starters out there, things like that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's never perfect, right? You still got to go out and execute. Easton did not execute well. So I'm a little nervous about him at this point. We all know that everyone's been frustrated about him. He's been in the league for 5 years. You would expect more from him at this point. My prediction is he probably is going to be cut either after this next week or this week, depending on how he does in practice or who's even available at this point, right? So we'll talk more about that here in a second also. Perez looked okay. Now, the argument with him is that he's 29 years old. He's not really a long-term solution as a backup. He's kind of a stopgap at this point, but he can make the throws. He's a veteran quarterback, 29 years old. He's won plenty of championships. We all know his resume. He's great, right? He will be fine, right? I think he's probably better than Easton Stick once he actually gets the playbook understood. So those are the two quarterbacks we have now currently. I do think we sign another quarterback this week. We did just release Max Dugen, and it's unfortunate because, I really wanted to see him do well. And guys, if you remember when we drafted him, guess who predicted that we were going to pick him in the 7th round? This guy. We were literally live, and I said, we're going to go out for Max Duggan. We're going to scoop him up, and we literally picked him up. I was live on TV at that time. It might take me a while to find that, but it was one of our draft episodes when we selected him. And, again, I just thought we would have him. He's a champion. He has championship pedigree, kind of what Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley wanted. He was available. Just didn't pan out in Harbaugh's system. He had accuracy issues. Again, his footwork was even worse than Easton Stick, in my opinion. So we unfortunately, we did waive Max today. So that's kind of interesting. So let's talk about another waive was Leon Johnson. Leon Johnson, wide receiver from Oklahoma State. We waived him also to clear some space. The thing about Leon is I remember even when he was an undrafted free agent, I didn't really think much of him. He had pretty low numbers at Oklahoma State, but he has the tangibles, right? The body, speed was okay. He just didn't pan out. There were a few balls thrown to him as well. I believe in the game on Saturday, didn't quite look that great. He looked okay, not amazing, but you never really heard much from him in camp. And at this point, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. You're not going to be on this team moving forward. Again, we can always re-sign players when they're available, unless they get signed up at another team. At the end of the day, they're still going to be available. So we'll see what happens. But as far as the wide receiver room is concerned, I do think we are a little bit full up at the moment. So I don't really suspect we're going to go after Leon Johnson again at this point. We might try and pick somebody else up as well. And Fisk, our tight end that we signed last week, actually looked pretty good this week. And I think scooping him up when we let Ben Mason go, I think what they were hoping for with Ben Mason is to make him more of a fullback or a more better blocking tight end. And he really he wasn't able to do either one, quite frankly. And I think Fisk at least is a very good blocking tight end. And I think that's really where his value is coming into play. I don't expect him to do a whole lot in the offensive side of the ball, but as far as running the ball, protecting the C gap, giving more protection to Justin Herbert moving forward, that's what he's there for. He's a big, big dude, really big guy, can move the C gap and really just, help in protection. I think that's really his value at this point. Again, doesn't really know the playbook, so wouldn't expect him to really be that involved in, especially week 1 or week 2, but he's going to be there to block, right? And play the fullback role potentially. And, again, he looked pretty good. His scores from what I could see, his PFF ratings were actually fairly high. So a bit of an upgrade from what I could tell from Ben Mason. Now, again, I do suspect we're going to continue to bring people in. The entire conversation around the practice squad is going to be pretty fascinating, guys. We may even want to go live on that because I think there's going to be a lot of players we're going to try and scoop up from other teams. I would not be shocked if that happens and we let some people walk. And so I'm going to be that is going to be a very interesting conversation, how that all plays out on the practice squad. We'll talk more about that at a later date, but I think you're going to start seeing a lot of major moves right now. Clearly, we're trying to get the best 53-man roster and the best practice squad available, full of roster, fill-ins. One guy we did sign is Frank Ginda. Frank Ginda is an interesting guy, right? He's, I think, 27. He's signed with the Cardinals. He went to San Jose State. He's a linebacker. Everyone's going to keep asking the question, well, why do we need a linebacker? We worked him out last week with these people being let go. He was actually brought in. And you might ask yourself this question, why Frank Ginda, right? Well, I think Leon Johnson was also on the special teams side of the ball a little bit. I know Brendan Rice was also. I think Cornelius Johnson was. I think on the special team side of the ball, they just want to have larger players, fast, large players. Frank Ginda is a very good linebacker, going to be a special team specialist. That's where he's going to be able to be really on this team, like Troy Dye, another special teams guy. I can see Quarterman, I think, is definitely going to be on special teams as well. So they're going to use them quite a bit to be the special teams specialists, right? Because the new kickoff rules, you kind of want a bigger body. I think they've made that decision, that's where they want to go. But again, last year, he was with the Dolphins. He was with the Cardinals at one point. He was an undrafted free agent out of San Jose State. He's played the XFL, USFL. Last year, he was named the 2023 USFL Defensive Player of the Year. He led the entire league in tackles with the Michigan Panthers, right? So, look, bottom line, he's a very good tackling linebacker. So a great depth piece, an awesome linebacker to help with special teams, and hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have any problems with our linebacker room this year. But again, he could step in if he really needs to. So I think he's a good addition. And again, a special teams specialist, right? So I think that's really where his value is. And last but not least, we did get another signing here as well. Jalyn Phillips, he's undrafted free agent from Clemson. Pretty interesting that we actually signed him. And it was one of the people I talked about that could have potentially made the squad. And I'm going to be very honest. I think the reason why is he's from Clemson, right? He was clearly a very high recruit out of college. You go to Clemson, you go to Georgia, you go to Alabama, you're going to be a high-rated player out of high school. And Jalyn Phillips is, right? He's an undrafted free agent. The interesting thing about him, he's really been, he's looked very good, right? So we did finally sign him. I'm going to talk about what you're going to start seeing moving forward with the defensive back room. And some people have said that our defensive back room did not look good. I actually think we look really good. I think, like Dean Leonard looked great. I think we looked fine as far as the defensive back room. Again, we don't have our starters in there, but some of these guys are looking good as far as the depth piece players. But again, he was at Clemson for 5 years. He played free safety and nickel corner. Okay, let me repeat that. Free safety and nickel corner. So the one thing that you're going to see with this regime moving forward is you're going to cross-train players, safety and corner positions. You want them to run both. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but JT Woods has actually been playing cornerback quite a bit as well. So they're trying to get people moved around, right? And again, just because you're a safety doesn't mean we're going to want you to play safety all the time. They might want you to move to the nickel. They might want you to work to the edge. They were rotating a lot of players in and out. And I'm drawing a blank on the guy that was burned last week for that deep bomb. And he was picked on literally 3 plays in a row, and they finally got him in the end zone. So If you guys remember his name, let me know. But again, pretty interesting guy. Phillips, really fast, 4.65 second 40-yard dash. Clemson's pro day, a 32.5-inch vertical jump. Good God, that's way higher than I will ever get. A 9-foot 6-inch broad jump, 18 bench press reps. I could probably do that. Well, maybe we'll see. Anyways, he which basically ranked him around 4th among safeties in the NFL in the scouting combine. I think a lot of people just thought he was a little bit raw, right? I think a lot of people liked him. Again, 5-year player, a little older. Again, he's 6 foot, 204 pounds, defensive back. More of a developmental player, but I think he's definitely proven enough that he's actually going to be, he deserves a spot on this squad. So kind of excited to see that. I think it's great that we have him in there, and I think he's going to be a good person. JT Woods, I think, is probably going to be rotated around quite a bit as well too. But I think there's going to be a lot of transactions this week, guys. This week is going to be a lot because you want to get one last week to bring some other people in, then you got to evaluate them really quickly and move forward. So, what do you think of these transactions, guys? As always, Andrew Bolpros. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night. LA Thunder and electric delight. Bolts in the battle, sparking bright. Charged up, ride the lightning, feel the fright.